Hello and welcome. This is Playing Favorites podcast. I'm Paul.
I'm Justin.
Justin, are
Yes.
we doing a podcast episode?
Yes, I know. You're looking
Oh,
loud. You're looking
where
around like
are we?
that one time where
Like,
we did the Young Frankenstein where it's like
look up.
yes, we were doing a podcast and you know what? It's a favorites podcast because you know what? This is playing favorites, Paul.
We're going back to our favorites, Justin. That's right. We're here today to talk about our favorite things across a variety of topics. Today's topic is our favorite God of War moments. And specifically, we're talking about 2018's God of War and God of War Ragnarok,
The
the
Norse mythology.
duology.
You could if you're on the YouTube channel, you could tell. You probably guessed that the second you turn it on. I mean, my background.
Yes.
I am literally in Midgard
You're
right
in
now.
Midgar. Aren't you cold wearing a t-shirt? Jeez.
I went to upstate New York. This
Put,
is this.
put a jacket on. You're gonna catch your death out there. Here we are, yes, back again, trying doing our podcast. One of the things that really got us excited about doing this again, obviously, we both have completed the main story of Ragnarok,
Yep.
and it really got us thinking, reflecting on the past of these past these two games, and just trying to really pinpoint some of our favorite moments. But if this is your first time listening to your podcast, or if you're a podcast listener for a long time
It's
and
been a
we
while.
just showed up in your feed, hello,
No, and I
we're
have a
back
quote. I have a
again.
quote from the game just for this moment.
Please.
We're sorry, but we'll do better. We'll do better. You gotta be better, Paul. You gotta be
We
better.
will be better. I really thought you were going to say it's not the form of a thing that matters, or it's the nature. I just flubbed the line, but you know what I mean. So obviously, we're gonna get back. We're gonna start talking about our favorite Kratos daddy moments. A lot of them, I think, are gonna be like that. Both of us are dads, so
Yeah.
we found an especially resonant story here in both of these games. But like usual, we have some surprise questions for each other.
We usually
But
do, but
before,
just to let people know, we do have a lot of other things that we do here. We have a little
before we
housekeeping.
dive into that,
We might not have
go.
been on this podcast channel that much. I mean, I think we put something up like maybe like 4 or 5 months ago, but we've been doing a lot of things on the YouTube channel. We actually
Yes,
replayed God of War on there too, so that's kind of what spurred this whole conversation. But we've been doing a lot of that, but we really kind of missed doing the podcast. We're back here, but yeah, go check that stuff. This will be a video version too, so go like, subscribe. You can comment all that stuff about our conversation today. What your thoughts on God of War Ragnarok? What was your favorite moment during God of War, North mythology, whatever. But yeah, you can go there. Check our podcast services. Give us a rating. We have a Twitter account, PlayFavePod. At PlayFavePod. So I'm talking pretty fast. All of it is in our description. So it's
yes. Just look in the description, check out our YouTube channel, and please, by all means,
share with your
check out
family
our
and
yep,
friends.
check our stuff out and share it. Great. Let's then dive into it. Justin, I think you have a surprise question for
I
me.
got a pretty simple one. So we played. Mine's more focused on, I guess, Ragnarok more. It's
Okay.
not necessarily
Okay.
across the entire thing. I mean, I guess you can consider it too, because I guess there's a different version of a character in the first
Sure.
game. Who is your favorite companion in the God of War games? Who do you
Ooh.
like following you around? Young Atreus, old Atreus,
Yeah.
Angaboba, Freya, Brock, uh, Sindri.
Yeah, Sindri. Yeah, like it's funny how many different people are your companion in this game.
Yeah,
Even when you're just Kratos, or when you're Atreus and you have Sindri with you, it's funny fighting with the dwarves. Like it seems so weird. I always imagine that it's going to be like one of those, like events in the game where you have to protect, a weaker character,
like an
and
escort
it's
mission.
never that. It's never that. Thankfully, you never have to keep that person alive. Um, my favorite though, I got to tell you, I've been doing a lot of playing with Freya after beating the game, and she is getting better. And I think it's like the
By the way, this is
oh,
completely spoiler heavy. So if you haven't played this game, I guess you're you know.
Yeah, that's kind of important to know. It's kind of important to know that the yeah, I mean, she's not trying to kill you, uh, she can help you.
So no,
Would
you can.
somebody really listen to Game of God of War favorite moments without
I
imagining that
just
there would be spoilers? Spoiler
I'm just
alert, spoiler
I'm
alert,
just
sorry.
saying it out loud just so in case that one person, you know.
Hey, I didn't know she could be your partner. You named them all. You listed them all.
I might. I wasn't speaking to you. I was speaking to the audience. Okay, it was not. I was
True.
just warning. A warning. Anyways, Freya is a
No,
good
but
choice. I mean, I think because like at the end of the game, you spend a lot of time with Freya. I've gotten like really used to her.
yeah,
Um,
but older Atreus is definitely the better.
older
Oh,
Atreus is great
he
for
is
sure.
amazing.
Yeah.
Like, whew, thank you for having finally like young Atreus towards the end of the first game is great. He grows into his own, but yeah, like I like Freya because it's different, but I don't know. What about you? Are you thinking more of the older Atreus?
Like I think like it was I think young older Atreus, but like the thing that bugs me about older Atreus when it seems like when he's with Kratos as your companion, he doesn't turn wolf really or bear. Like you can't like make him turn that. Like
No, you can't make him like rage.
yeah, like I
Yeah.
think that's kind of interesting. It's weird that he can't like when you're playing him by himself, he rages all the time. But like
Mm.
well, to an extent. But like I just think that's I guess more like I mean, I kind of wish he would just like do it briefly or something like that. Or, I mean, they have like
Do you
cool visuals of him doing it as like cinematics.
Yep, especially towards the end. Yes, yes. Do you think that that's like a conscious choice, like they're making Atreus, when he's around his father, have more control, like
I mean,
not
I guess
lose
that is a
control?
that could be it. Like maybe he doesn't want to do that in front of his dad. Like he kind of just like feels bad. Like he's like, I
I
can
did
do
this in
this.
front of Anchor Boda, but I don't feel embarrassed doing it in front of my father. So weird. He's grown up so much, our little man.
Yeah, seriously.
Mm.
No, I mean, I would say that, but I feel like Ingrid Boda was kind of. I wish I could use her more. I guess. Like, I just think it's like, I feel like it'd be neat if we could level her up. Like, all you get is her just doing the little like pink, like smoky things. But
You like playing Splatoon with her, that's what you liked.
yeah, no,
Like
I
all of
just
her colorful paint.
I thought it was just. I wasn't expecting something like that. I mean, Sindri alone
Yeah.
throwing like pots and pans at people was weird enough as it was.
That's good. Brock throwing basically
But,
grenades or like little Molotov cocktails he's making, but, yeah, Angerboda like, the fact that we're changing characters so much, that
that
you
was a big
can do that,
surprise in the game. Like I was
it was interesting.
yeah, especially when
I'm I'm
Freya became more of a like when Sindri happened, it's like, oh, okay, neat. He's gonna follow us around. That's kind of cool, but I can't really affect him,
yeah,
like you know.
yeah.
But when Freya became like a thing in the menu, I'm like, oh, oh, okay, like that's awesome, you know.
And it's funny because you see the skill trees and you're like, "What's all this room for?" Like, it's like, like, who else is gonna be here? Is it gonna be" you don't really know, and I that we can talk about our favorite, moments, obviously, but having Freya on your side again is a very good thing.
Sure.
I'm getting used to her. I'm getting used to the way that she fights,
Yeah,
and I
like
think she is too. Like, I think she is improving the more
I
that we
like
do.
her like I like the visuals of some of the things she does. Like they surprise me
Mhm,
still. Like when
mhm.
you kind of get the visual of her doing the angel thing or the Valkyrie thing.
Yeah, with
Like
the
I was
wings just
like,
like,
oh yeah, I
"Ah!"
forgot she could do that. Like that was with Atreus for so much. It's like oh, and then I've been kind of recently been tweaking her like whatever her like abilities are, like changing them up a
Mhm.
little bit. But yeah, no, it's cool because Atreus, I got to the point in the before the game ends, it's like I've leveled you all up. I can't do anything else with you. Like I mean, like literally, I'm like, why didn't I get a trophy? Like I don't understand. Like I leveled you up. There's
And when you're fighting with Atreus, you just know him. You expect like, when he's on the battlefield, in the confusion of battle, you know where he is. You can kinda pretty much tell. Sometimes especially when Freya has done, like, the wings thing, her
yeah,
Valkyrie thing, I, like, immediately, like, "Huh, enemy!" Like, just kind of like my eyes immediately drawn there,
yeah.
like, what was that?" still getting used to
Yeah.
her on the battlefield. But yeah, she's got some cool moves. Cool moves. All right, man. Very interesting question. Good, good. Kind of like
It's a warm up,
uh
right? That's what it's here for.
warm up.
That's what I'm here for.
Exactly. So now, okay, mine's a little heavier than I suppose. Mine's a
Okay.
little bit thinking more, I guess, across the whole series, but more like what questions do you still have about like some things that they brought up
My favorite
story wise,
my
the
favorite quest
prophecies?
my favorite question. That's what you just asked me. My favorite question of the game.
Yes. What is
Mm,
what questions do you still have? Not your favorite ones, but like what things do you know that like haven't been answered that you're wondering? And
I guess I haven't
if
gotten to
you're
that point in thinking about this game yet. Like I'm trying to think if there's anything that wasn't answered.
well, I'm wondering how Faye died because that's still not clear. How she died, why she died, you know,
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
and we see the flashbacks in his dreams of her like marking the trees.
they kind of show a little bit like she like did something to like help tell their story. Maybe like almost like was the death a part of her plan? Like was that part of her thing? Like
I
to
know.
push that forward and like I don't know. It's interesting. I don't know. I didn't really think of that. I just want to see. I guess the biggest question I have is like, how does he be? It's the biggest question everyone has. It's like how does he how does he become this revered god, right? Like that's the biggest question. Like, and I'll just
Oh,
say,
for the future. Yeah.
yeah, like I mean, like that's like I mean to me, like I read that mural wrong at the end that where he sees the his secret like prophecy that like
Yeah.
after Atreus leaves. So I was like
Yep.
looking at the thing. I'm like, oh crap, these are all the other places he's gonna go. I'm like, no, that's not what it is. I didn't look at it right. Like it's actually just a story of what he's done. But like,
Well, I mean, it's also like the future, and like he can be this revered god. Like he can.
no, I
That's
thought
really
the
like.
picture of him fighting some guy with a hammer. I thought that was like an Egyptian person, had like a weird
Oh,
hat,
oh
like
yes, because the way they depict Thor in those, yeah, he's got like the pointed cap and
yeah. So it's
Mjolnir.
like I was like, oh crap, he's going to Egypt. I'm like, oh no,
Yeah.
no, no, he's not.
You got excited. But, I think we talked about it before, probably when we were streaming Game of
Game of
the
War,
God of War,
Game of
uh,
Thrones.
was that they initially were planning on Egypt, and they had built some concept of him in sand, like some, very rudimentary early, like, trailer stuff, like what it could look like of Kratos in the desert. But that's another question people wanna know is how
Yeah.
did he get to Scandinavia from Greece? Like, was that did anything happen on that journey, or did he just walk and that was it?
Well,
Like, nothing.
He must have done this whatever Tyr did, or like, is it the same planet
No.
Earth? Like, is it like that's what I don't know.
Ooh,
Like,
I assume it's the same planet, and it's just, like, a different part of the world, like, where Midgard is technically in Scandinavia, and then, he traveled from Greece, from where,
so
Olympus.
let's have Kratos come to the American mythology. Let's do that. Let's have him do fight
Nice.
the American gods.
No, 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 he needs to go to the Middle East and fight alongside Jesus or something. There you go.
No,
But
when you said Game of War, I was like, yeah,
uh
this the game is kind of like the story of Fire and Ice.
It really is, you're holding him on your back.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, but,
Um,
like,
I mean, I
there was
guess
a there was
you know what? I
oh,
got an
go ahead.
answer. I kind of just want to see Atreus's journey, like what ends up happening with that. Like,
Yes.
is that it's that I think is
It's a
interesting.
cool
Like
ending.
him finding all the giants. What does that mean? Like, does that cause something to happen? Is that but the Norse mythology's done. So what do the giants do? Are they just gonna move on
I
with?
think this is just like this is like he found Angerboda, he found he made Jormungandr, you know? I don't know. Maybe he's gonna bring them if he finds them out randomly around the realms. Maybe he's just gonna try to bring them back to Jotunheim.
Saying that made me think of my actual favorite question. I don't know. Why are
Oh,
there
okay.
giants and then not giants that are giants?
Yeah, that's still unclear. the race of giants, the Jotun, are not all giants.
Yeah,
Some of them are.
I understand, so Eggenberger's grandma is a giant, but
Yes, and you oh, that
she's not a giant? So what when do when they birth children, are they just normal sized babies and then they might grow into giants, or they do they birth a giant? Like, I don't understand what decides that. Like
that's a good question. That's a good question. Because a lot of this crazy stuff that they mention happens before or, like, in their own, like, past. Like, when they said, like, "Oh, yeah, Odin, the character that you interacted with, made Midgard and made everything from the blood of a giant, like the first giant." And, like, the
mhm.
oceans were like his salty blood. It's like, okay, like, you really did this? Like, Odin, you did this? Some of the stuff seems like it's on a scale that we don't really see, or I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know how
That's the
the
question
birth
I want
some
answered. Explain to me how first
giant birth works.
well, and on top, how giant mating works. Can you mate? Do you have to be both big giants to mate, or is there a weird sort of like situation where you can be in love with a little giant?
Hey, whatever you're into, man. Some people like big partners. Some people like little tiny partners. All okay
And
as
like,
long as of
and then
consenting age.
what's tier? Is he like mid-sized giant? Is it like because it's like
Oh, no, he's
he's
just
like
he's a Norse god. I don't know if he's part of the Aesir in the mythology. He is one of the Aesir. He's one of Odin's advisors, and well, he is the god of war in the Norse
yeah, I know.
mythology.
Why is
So
he
he's
tall though? Like, why is he? I'm like,
but I mean, like, is he the same height as Thor? Like, is he, Thor's pretty big. Thor's pretty huge. He's not, but he is also half giant. Never mind. Good questions. Good questions. Here, I had a really obscure question for you. I wanted to say
sure.
this to you because it's never answered, and I don't think we really know who could have done it. But I mean, we could have a theory, but it was never really answered. Do you remember when Atreus gets sick and you're taking him back to Freya?
Yeah,
You're like carrying him at the end, and you're like walking back and forth, pacing. You're getting really, and he's like, "Woman, you hear me, woman?" He's getting upset. As they're going up the elevator, someone blows the horn for Jormungandr, and Mimir says, like, that's someone summoning the serpent, and then you
yeah,
never hear anything about that again. And I know later on, Baldur, hurts Jormungandr to get them to get spit out when they're inside of him, trying to get the Mimir's other eye. But yeah, you never find out who blew it. It could have been Freya, it could have been anybody, but it could have been Odin for all we know. But yeah, we don't
maybe
know
it was
why.
Brock just having some fun. Wow.
Yes. Actually, it was Heimdall.
Hmm.
He was just being a jerk, doing something really annoying at a time where you didn't need it.
Hmm. All right, are you warmed up with your
Oh,
fire and ice?
I am suitably warmed up, Justin. Suitably warmed up. So
All right.
why don't we dive right into it? Let's talk about, if it's been a while since you've listened to us, or seen how we've done this format. We usually talk about two honorable mentions each, and then we each share our favorite. And Justin, you are in the honor position today to go
The
first.
the honor position.
The sacrificial lamb, if you will. So Justin, what is your first honorable mention for favorite moment
Oh,
in
this is
God
tough.
of War?
So, I tried to think where I wanted to, because I don't really know how I rank them quite. I was trying to think about how I do it, and I think I know the answer. At least I think I know my favorite. No, but I guess I'm going to start with this one since you kind of already hinted at it in our conversation.
Uh-huh.
Honestly, it is Freya coming, making the truce with Kratos. I mean,
Mhm.
and it's not just that moment. Like, it's honestly just them leading up to the conversations they have back and forth. Like, that kind of builds that sort of really cool moment. But honestly, the boss fight for that whole thing is probably, that might be one of my favorite, like, just designed creatures in God of War 2 is the Nidhogg.
Yeah,
It's like
that's crazy.
and it kind of comes out of you like nowhere. It's like it just kind of rips through like fabric of space and time and just it kind of scares you a
Shows
little
up.
bit. But
Yeah, it
like
just shows up.
I mean, the fight itself is fine. Like it's like your typical boss fight, but just like the style of it is very unique. It's like kind of like the I guess the dragon fight of this game, like from God of War 1, like to this one. It's like such a unique creature that I just thought it was cool how that presented it. But honestly, like after you finish it, just the acting of from Freya. I don't know the actress's name. I could look it up maybe, but it's just
Yes. Yeah.
it is beautiful and just like the trembling of her. I rewatched it before the episode because it was like one of the things that was like really stuck to me was like playing Ragnarok. That moment I think is the one that really kind of like hit me. The first big moment in the game. Like I think
Yeah.
when we had first dived into it initially, both of us had this kind of vibe where it's like we liked it, but it was like nothing new was happening or nothing momentous was happening. It was good. By no means it was like us. It was just more God of War. I think we kind of maybe
Yeah,
both felt that.
exactly. Just more of what we were used to already.
Yeah,
Yep.
but like I think that Freya moment really was kind of like that kind of turning point in the game because obviously she joins you right after that. So it's like it kind of all kind of like that's where I think the turn of that gameplay changes. But that moment itself is great. The dialogue between the two of them, Kratos is like change. Like it really starts to show him becoming a new
Mhm.
person and her becoming a new person. It's like really this like beautiful kind of scene that kind of represents like where this the rest of the story really is going. And I don't know. That's why it's my one of my honorable
You
mentions.
know,
I'm almost making it sound like it was my favorite. Jeez.
I know you're, but no, it is a great moment. I had this down as a shout out too, but the only thing I'd written was Freya deciding not to kill Kratos. That's how it's like phrased. She's like, maybe you're more useful alive for the moment, not dead.
Mhm.
But yeah, when she eventually joins you, I mean that like this whole like the first game was like about him learning to be a father, like to really like what it means to be a father. And the second one, I feel like was more like how to be a teacher because he's sharing his wisdom with people, his experience way more than he did in the first go
Yeah.
round.
No,
And
absolutely.
that was one of the best examples. Like he does it with Mimir. I know we were talking about the berserkers off mic earlier, but I'm like I think I've finished 8 of them, so I only got 2 more to get to. But as you go, you learn more about like Mimir's reason for why he wants to get rid of the
Got it.
berserkers. And Kratos is telling him, like, listen, I'm telling you right now, vengeance is not gonna like it's not gonna give you what you want. He's like, I know. And he does the same thing with Freya. He
Yeah.
does like like I understand that you want vengeance, and I won't stop you. Like he never fights, he doesn't want to fight her. She keeps attacking them, as they go, and he refuses to like he'll defend himself, but he will not hurt her.
Yeah. Yeah, and then
It's
I
like,
think that's like the first like moment where you see their confrontation. Like it's like it shows like Kratos does that throughout the rest of the game,
crazy.
obviously. But
Yeah.
it's just like rewatching it though. Even like some of the dialogue, like you made the comment where it's like she realized that he's of use to her, but like I don't know if it's quite exactly what she means. Like I think
Mhm.
she's still conflicted, but she just knows it's wrong, but she doesn't know how to say it. Like if you look at her face
Yeah.
and her emotion and the words she
Yeah.
says, she's like, I know that you don't need to die. Like
Yeah,
it's
she
sort
doesn't
of,
wanna kill him, but she doesn't forgive him at the same time.
yeah, because she's still angry because she's the mother of
Sure.
of the child, but like, and it's just like him saying like it's like I don't regret saving you, but like it wasn't my choice to do that, but it's like it's just such a it's so well written. I feel like it's like that scene.
It's very mature. And then I don't mean like, oh, they use swears. It's like it's a very it's a story that makes sense the more that you've like had experience like this, like with people over time. Like obviously they're gods, so they're like so long lived that like Kratos is actually like using the wisdom of his years
Hmm.
throughout this game. It's
Yeah,
good.
and
It's
but
really
one thing I'll add
it's
though is like the body language before she makes that decision and the way the camera just sort of like there's a point of me like even rewatching it. It's like man, they did such a good job at like I really
mhm,
wasn't sure which way it was gonna go. Like I was like, yeah, like it makes sense. Like definitely she's gonna do it. Like definitely she's gonna like make a truce with you. But like they do a really good job at like maybe it takes a little longer than we think or something else happens.
yep,
But
yep.
like
It's not
because
an
he
easy just like, "Freya has joined your party."
yeah,
It
like it's like but he's like okay, what's your answer? Like he's like sort of loosely holding the axe, but not trying to like seem threatening. Like it's sort of
yep,
interesting his body language, and it's like okay, like he's just like it's almost like talking with someone that's like going through like anxiety really, and just like him just like acting very neutral,
mhm.
straightforward questions, and it's very un-Kratos like, but yet at the
Mhm.
same time still Kratos at the same time because
Yes.
he's the warrior, he's prepared, but he's still holding himself in a very different way. It's so good. Okay, that's all I got.
And that is really the Greek ideal, and it you could probably chalk it up to some of his Spartan training is the idea of, like, being stoic, the stoicism of, like, just trying to, not let things affect you emotionally and just try to cut through all of that and stay, focused on what's important and what's vital in the moment, and yeah, it's like he's listening to that more and more. He's not the wild like beast monster that everyone, said he was. He has learned.
Sure.
And now he's sharing his learning. Okay. Very nice. Very nice honorable mention. So Freya joins the party, you can say. um, I will
What
tell you,
is your first honorable mention there, sir?
I'm going back to the end of the first game.
Okay.
And it's kind of like it's not a throwaway line, of course, but it's after everything's already done and you've just scattered the ashes over the peak in Jotunheim and you're walking back and Atreus says, he's like, the only thing that I don't understand is when they mentioned me in the prophecies, they said my name was Loki.
Yeah, so that was a good moment.
That like, at that moment, it's like because you wonder where does Kratos fit into this world? Like, fit into the Norse mythology? How is that going to happen? You know some of the giants, you know what Ragnarok is, but then when he says that his original name was Loki, you're like, "Oh gosh," like, everything is changed now because your son, like, Kratos doesn't know, but
Yeah,
your son that
yeah.
you, the player, know that your son is gonna be, like, an integral part in the end of the Norse pantheon. So
Yeah, it is interesting. It's like it's an off to him. It's like, oh, that's what your mother wanted to call you. Like he created is like, okay, what's the big
mhm,
deal? Like his big thing is he sees the prophecy on the wall at the end of the game. That's the moment for
yep,
Kratos, right? But
yep,
yeah, like when I heard Loki, I'm like, I remember like just like what? Like I that ending is really cool. Like just the feeling I was having. Like your
yeah,
credit
that whole sequence.
the
Mhm,
credits rolling when you're walking through like back out of Jotunheim and all that stuff. It's like you just I just felt like just so like it was such a rewarding, very
mhm,
like you felt like the game ended. It was like there wasn't like a huge cliffhanger, but enough to like I can't wait for the next game. But like you
yep.
felt like you completed something because it's like you had the ashes that you've been trying for 20 hours to get to the mountain to do. So it's like
And it would not have been as I mean, like, obviously, you can't end the game right after you defeat Baldur, like, and if you, like, try to quicken that, like, hasten it to, like, them and you can't end it with just them tossing the ashes because you've just been invested in so much of what these 2 have been through
mhm.
that you don't want it to end, and it's almost like the game is, like, letting you down slowly as you're walking back down the stairs. I
Yeah,
know exactly what you're talking about, and really, like, it's not just when he says that he's Loki, but that whole sequence, like tossing the ashes, turning around, and like walking back. Now with the knowledge that you are going to bring about Ragnarok, like that is weighing on you, the player's shoulders. Whereas, you're looking at your characters that you're
yeah.
like, you guys don't know what you're in for, but like it's happening, man. and
That whole that
Fimbulwinter
whole
starting.
that whole Jotunheim scene is great. I remember because we replayed it recently, but like he gives the ashes to Atreus to hold, which
Mhm.
is like a big thing that was going on through the rest of the game. It's like he's becoming the Kratos that we eventually see, but like it's like hints and it's subtleties, right? He's still reserved because it's so fresh and new to him, but like
Sure, sure.
it's so rewarding at the end of that game. Oh man, that is a good moment. You're right.
No, I love that. I love that feeling. You know that there's still more to play, but it felt like it wrapped up the story with them really well. And then you get Mimir back, right? And he's just like on the floor, and the dwarves are just like left. They're like, oh, he's like, oh, thank God, thank the
Oh,
gods.
oh, Mimir. All
I
right.
love Mimir. All right, Justin, this has been a pretty good start here. When we come back, we're going to take a little break. When we come back, we'll get into our other two honorable mentions, and then we'll talk about our favorites. Welcome back. Here we go with our second set of honorable mentions. So, Justin, what's your last honorable mention before we talk favorites?
I'm going Ragnarok again. Honestly, a lot of the moments in Ragnarok really kind of hit me more. I think.
Okay.
It's the scene. It's the scene where Atreus and Kratos come back together again after going to hell, and they're about to go in the door, and they pretty much just have this. I mean, obviously, that whole thing where they're kind of telling each other the truth and all that stuff leading up to that moment. But just the that really hit me like emotionally, like
Yes.
him just like sort of apologizing and like telling him like I've been angry again. I have gone back to my old ways and like them just talking through it together and just the emotion on the animation slash Christopher Judge's like acting for it. How you want to describe that? I don't even know. But there's just such an a deep like the dialogue is really good and it's like also cheesy too because it's just enough because you got like this teenager talking and he
Yeah.
just says
Yeah.
he says like but it's like it means well like there's good delivery behind it even though it's like he uses
Sure.
like sort of words that maybe don't fit the moment but like it makes sense and it works but just like hit like Kratos just like looking at his son just saying I am sorry and him coming back and saying don't be sorry, be better. Like those lines and that smile he gives, like Kratos, and then them
Mhm.
like hugging almost, like as they walk through the
Yes.
door. Like, oh man, like that. Like we had talked about this like off air on streams, whatever. Like trying to complain the differences of these two games, and like there was many epic moments in the first game, like many of these like fights and Boulder and like being on the dragon and just like all these really cool moments. And maybe one of those things we'll talk about later, but like Ragnarok just had so many like just story beats and sort of like relationships and conversations that needed to be had. Like it just sort of gave you epic moments in a very different way than just the flashy fights and
They
crazy
were
battles.
they were more moments of substance than just, spectacle, like
Yeah,
the fighting on the back of a dragon. Yes. That's a
like
good comparison to that and, like, Atreus and Kratos hugging
yeah,
in this game? And that I think, it's great pick. I didn't even think of that. But I will say that is one of my favorite parts is when they do reunite and they hug, and then
hmm
Kratos, like, lets go, and then he realizes he can hold on again, and he, like, puts his he, like, finishes the hug.
yeah.
It's like he starts to let go, all right, we're men, we don't hug." And then, like, and Atreus just holds on, and he's like, "Oh, alright," and, like, just comes back in. But yeah.
A shout out though, like before that,
Like,
like them just like him appearing in Sindri's house, and then the all these people are attacking because the Hellhound does the thing,
oh,
and his
yeah.
dad just sees him. He's like, "On your back," and you start fighting. I'm like that whole moment, like whole scenario of just them just like fighting each other. Like he's like, and that was really awesome. I was like loving that too. But like this little shout out thing, but like just them having that emotional moment and just the conversations of like him saying like when I'll think of you and I was when you're not around we'll think of each other and we'll just hear each other and we'll almost be
Yep.
with each other no matter what like I don't know it was such a I just never thought this I'd ever get to this point with a Kratos game. It's like you go
Right?
from
With
it's
this
like
game.
like I mean we go back from like one of our earlier episodes. I think we
Oh,
talked
excuse
about
me.
like the fight with Zeus, and it's like you're just bashing buttons and just
You
and
just
like
beat your father's face
and
into a bloody pulp. For
and
10
then
minutes straight,
and,
you did it too.
and like 2 games later, we're just like Jesus, like
We're hugging.
man, Kratos. Man, I feel you. I'm hearing you right here in the deep in my soul. Like it's like I don't. It's good. It's good stuff.
That that one part, when Atreus decides that he's gonna leave to go look for giants, and Kratos says, "Loki will go, but Atreus will be here." Like,
Oh yeah, yeah.
will
Later on,
remain. I was like, "Oh my god, dude." I'm like, when it, like, comes time for one of us when, like, our children move out or go to college or something, when I'm thinking back to this, I'd be like, "You'll go, but you will also remain." Like, it's so good, and that's such a like, that's a huge part of this is how do you let go? How do you, you know, ignore things like prophecy and fate and just, like, let things be? That's, like, a big theme of this game and the story is like,
yeah,
yeah, there is like, I love meeting with the Norns because 'cause they're like, "Yeah, there's no fate. We just pick up on your patterns, like, y'all do the same things over and over, so we
yeah,
just pick up on it."
yeah.
Uh, but yeah, nice one, dude. That was I was gonna shout out the double hug. Hug and then come back for another one, but god. I will tell you, Justin, my, last honorable mention was in the first game, and it was a long boat ride. A long and dark and stormy boat ride to go back and get the Blades of
Oh,
Chaos. From the moment that Freya says when you have sick Atreus in front of you, you're laying down and she's like, you're gonna have to go to hell to get the heart of the gatekeeper. It's a place of unspeakable cold, and you will need something that can, you know, make a fire in any place. And just like the recognition, the look of recognition on Kratos's face is like, I've got something. And he just that whole sequence of him going back. There, no, it's a very fraught moment
eh,
emotionally because Atreus is
s-
sick and he's in just in deep
say it
trouble.
again. It cut out for a second. It's okay.
Oh, I'm saying it was like it's a very emotional moment. You know, you're Atreus is very ill. He's sick. He's we were just talking about this moment a little while ago. Like, he's like, "Come on, woman! Like, open the door!" Like, trying to get help for Atreus. So your emotions are already heightened, and you're obviously worried about Atreus. And she basically tells you you have to go to hell to get this thing, to
Hmm.
get the heart, and that will maybe help him. And that whole ride back, the first time I played through, or the first time I saw it, it was like, oh, where are they? Like it's obviously going to be the Blades of Chaos, but where are they? And then it pans over and you see Athena sitting in the front of the boat, looking at him. It first creeped me out, and then just to understand, like that's what's going through his head most of the time. Whether it's like Athena's dead, Athena's long dead. If
Hmm.
she still exists on some plane, maybe. But a lot of that, I think, is just Kratos dealing with his own mistakes and dealing with his own, resisting making the same mistakes again and going back to pick them up and then not telling Atreus anything about them. And Atreus is like, "Where did you get those?" Like all these questions he has, but such an important, like, emotional moment in the game. Like it's stormy, reflecting the whole like feeling. Just a really cool sequence to watch and be a part of. I was just happy to do it.
Getting the blades is my favorite.
Oh no, Justin, I'm
But
sorry.
you said the boat ride, so it's okay.
Okay,
You just
it
segued
was
into my
just a boat
favorite.
ride. Sorry.
Honestly, I just love the scene of
No.
him going in the house to get the blades. I mean, like the boat ride fine because but I honestly didn't stick with me as much as you're saying because honestly I kind of forgot about the boat ride. But
Okay.
like, but leading up to it, like when they say, I agree with you. Like the whole like he needs something. He you need something that's gonna burn. That's hotter than the ice of hell or whatever. I forget the word she
Mm.
says. But I'm like, and then all of a sudden, I'm not even like a huge God of War like crazy person. Like I didn't play all the games, but I played the first one enough to know that he has fiery blades. Like I know
Yep.
that, But I'm just like all the trailers, everything in this game before the game comes out, they focus on the axe. I'm like, cool. They're just kind of rebooting the series to not use blades. Makes perfect sense. But then when they say, "Oh no, you gotta go get him again," I'm like, "Oh crap, this is awesome!" And I was just hyped up. And the whole Athena theme's really cool, but I can't really remember Athena. Was she in the third game? Like I
She
know.
is, and she is like a spirit because at the end of 2, you kill her.
Okay,
That's the
so
thing.
I
Like,
figured
that's
I mean I kind of put two and two together, but I had played the third one so much I guess farther, like maybe 6 years before I played 2018. And I just Athena wasn't a big role in the third game that I can remember at
no,
least.
no, not a big one.
Yeah, so
Not
it's
at all,
like,
really.
but I put two and two together. So her being there was kind of like still impactful. But honestly, just him walking in the house and how slow he takes, and then like he's trembling when he picks them up, and like he's like his hands are shaking when he's about to put the chains around his arms. Like he is fighting to do this again, but he has to, right? He needs to.
Yep.
It's required. He
It's the
has to live with it.
it's the only way to do it, to save his son, and that's, like, all you can imagine him just telling himself, like, "You have to do this." And how long has it been since he's worn them? Probably he stopped wearing them after Zeus's death, who knows?
Yeah,
Who knows how long it's been since he put them back on? And yeah, watching him strap them back on again and hearing Athena like chirp in his ear, like pretend to be the things that you're not. Husband, father, and that like husband, teacher, father, and really getting in his head. And it's it's great to watch how their relationship really from that moment, like when he comes back and he's like, "I'm ready, I'm fine." Atreus is fine again, and they go together, and that's when like Atreus has like a lot more questions, and he starts to get like angry with Kratos because that's when he starts asking like, "Why don't you tell me things? Where did those blades came from? What?" Like just starts asking him like rapid fire questions, like all
hmm
these things that Kratos has kept from him. And I mean, that's the theme in Ragnarok too. Instead of keeping information from Atreus, he's trying to keep Atreus away from the world.
yeah.
Keep try to keep him safe.
But
Um,
which is what Freya did, right? With her son, try to keep him safe.
exactly,
But
exactly.
but to add to the scene of why it's my favorite, it's not just that getting the house that cinematic. Just the feeling of going outside and you have like there's like I think there's like
Mhm.
lightning or it's like there's just like there's this the way
Yep.
the light is outside. It's very like the music is just like it's almost ominous and like it's terrifying in a sense. And he just goes nuts with the blade. And like the feeling of using the blades the first time in God of War 2018 was
Oh yeah.
amazing. It's like because you get so used to the axe and just adding that element of gameplay um was phenomenal. Um, but I do have a backup to bring up for my actual another favorite, but I would like to know what your favorite is. Oh,
Okay. You'll bring up your backup. I'll tell you. It's very simply, it's in Ragnarok. This is probably I think, yeah, this is my first one from actually Ragnarok. Um, but it is the Forge getting the spear
that's
and
my damn it, that's my
and,
backup.
and Brock's blessing, like all of that. So let's
That's
just talk about it,
yeah.
Justin, because it is my favorite. But I just say like Brock's blessing, I feel like was the most one of the most emotional moments for me. Not for anything, but like you learn in this game that first of all that Brock was dead and that Sindri brought him back and he got 3 out of 4 soul parts. You learn about soul parts too in this game. And you get him back and he's back to life, but he's not the same. Um And so when you go to the forge and you meet the mermaid, the lady of the forge, which is so cool, by the way, too. Like that to Brock and Sindri, it's like she is the most magical creature on like in this realm. So it is a forge because whatever she does forges something. It is like the
Mm.
equivalent of a magic forge. But yeah, I loved her. I loved
Yeah,
seeing because
it
we
was.
saw her in the trailer and it was like, oh, a mermaid. Like, cool. Are the mermaids in this?
I don't remember from the trailer, but okay, yeah.
Yeah, they do show her briefly, but it's just like that. You're like, oh, seeing her in the behind the glass, like, oh, cool, a mermaid. Are we gonna fight mermaids?
It just was
But
so it was so weird. Like not when I say it's like it was just so like it was so like weirdly surprising of what this lady was. Like I didn't know what it was. I had no idea what it's
yep,
gonna be. You're just going down. It's like it's just so like there's no
and Brock
information
is
at
so
all.
excited.
I
Yeah,
know,
Brock
and
is
then it's
like
like when
reverence.
but when you see what it is, it's like oh okay, like really cool. And then it's like I love the moment about like building the spear where he needs she needs the blood and it
The little
shows the
blood.
symbol of Greece
Yep, the
or
little the
was it
war signal in the omega in Greek. Yeah, the omega symbol.
but yeah no that whole thing was really neat and really cool and then it's like obviously you have the whole thing with Brock but then again you're just using the spear you're like oh this game just did it again to me like I just like that
Mhm.
moment where you're just like I didn't think we are
Ah,
gonna get another weapon I really didn't think we are gonna get another weapon I had
I
no
did not.
inkling whatsoever.
Yep, had no idea we were gonna get another weapon either. And I got to tell you, Justin, right now it is my favorite weapon to use.
Yeah,
I
it's up
like
there.
that's the one, and that's the
Fast.
thing. And it is very fast. It's ranged too. You can like really get in there and poke things. I love that. But it's and we've talked about this before, but it's the first weapon that Kratos has that was made for him.
Yeah.
Specifically made for him. And Brock says something like, he's like, what do you think of a spear? And he's like, do you know how to use a spear? He's like, it's the first weapon we Spartans learn.
Yeah.
He's like,
Yeah.
so it,
I
it
love that line.
has all this meaning for him. And in a sense, it's like it's kind of like reconnecting him with maybe not like the good old days, but like the perhaps maybe like the good things he learned from his childhood, his training,
Sure.
like not everything that's happened to Kratos has been terrible.
Well,
Like he's learned things, important lessons along the way, and it's worth remembering them. And that's kind
he
of like his stoic attitude is coming back too. That's like a Spartan thing as well.
well, you think about it, like the rest of the game too. Like he is more open about talking about Greece,
Mm,
a lot.
yeah,
Like he tells
yes.
stories, and Mimir asks him questions, and he's like, "Oh, I've done this, and we've done that. Like we have these things. We have poems in Greece as well. Like it's like all these things. Where the first game, like the only thing I think he ever really talked about Greece is who Atreus is named after. I
Mhm.
can't really
That
think of
was
too many other
most.
things.
Yeah, that was the most he would say about it. He did say like a story. He was like, there was a story once of like, and it was like not a great16story. They were all like, we need Atreus was like, we need help telling stories.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I love how Mimir in this game too. I'll just this is like an aside. Call this a shout out. How his relationship with Mimir has changed too. How close Kratos and him are. Like like Kratos calls him brother at one point, like
yeah.
early in the game too. And I was like, damn, like
It,
that is
it,
something.
and it's
That is
almost
really
like he owns Mimir. Like people like you got to watch him for me. Like like he when he
something.
hands him to somebody else, it's like
Take care of
yeah, it's interesting that he is like always bringing him around. Like he is always like hooking him. I'm assuming with the 4 years but path between the games, like he was mostly probably in the house. I'm guessing just
Yep.
just hanging out there. But yeah, he just I love how he has a hook for him. Like a place to put him. Like it is interesting. It's like, and how long does Mimir live? Is he just always a talking head now, like for the rest of eternity? Like, does he
I think
die?
so. I don't know. I don't think he has I think he's just a reanimated head. Because that's what he said himself, I think, in this
Yeah,
game. Oh, because yeah, like I think Atreus asks, like, well, couldn't Freya reanimate Baldur the way that she reanimated your head? And he was like, she wouldn't wanna do that to him, because what I am is somewhere between life and death.
Hmm.
I don't feel anything, it's like it's just yeah. He wouldn't want that. It would be a worse fate than death, for
Sure,
Baldur.
sure.
But, um, excellent. Justin, these have been some really interesting moments we've talked about. I'm not surprised. A little surprised that we overlapped here in the end a couple of times, but not terribly
It's a
surprised.
game. It's all about gameplay, and those are the
Mhm.
things that gave us good gameplay. Like, but like,
Before we wrap things up here, I have one thing that I wanted to mention to you. There was a favorite because you had asked at the very beginning who was your favorite companion,
sure,
your surprise question.
yeah,
And I immediately thought of this, but then you started listing off, like the people in this in Ragnarok, and it got me thinking. But honestly, the first one that came to mind was from God of War 3.
oh,
He's not necessarily a companion because he doesn't choose to be with you, but you do pull Helios's head off of his body and he becomes your lantern. And he's kind of like Mimir because you just pull him out randomly whenever you need
yeah,
like light
yeah,
and
yeah.
darkness,
I
and
remember
he
that. Yeah,
screams every time you pull him out. He's in pain every time.
I honestly thought one of the your honorable mentions was gonna be Heimdall's fight. Like that's what I was thinking you would do because you,
More time has come away from that. It was just like it was a fight. It was okay. It was good because it was satisfying because he was so annoying.
yeah,
Uh,
and well, and plus you had to like think a little bit. It wasn't just like bash buttons and like
yeah,
attack
it
them. Like,
wasn't. Yeah, you had to use some brain power to get it to work. But
but circling
uh,
back to your surprise topic, just for my last thing, I
oh,
have another
you
question: Is how does Sindri disappear
you
and
mean
why?
like his magic powers, like his
Like his
dwarf
stepping
powers?
between realms thing. Like none of the other dwarves can do that, right? Why can he?
Only him and Brock and Hulda can do that because they
Yes,
taught because Brock taught Hulda or Luna,
Luna. It's
Luna taught Brock.
Lunda with a
Lunda,
D.
yes, because
Um,
Brock teaches her how to do that. So the three of them can.
and
Uh,
what's the relationship with Faye and them? Like we got a little hint of that,
oh
but not.
no, yeah,
There's not a
yeah, they
lot of
made the
information
axe
there,
for her.
right?
They made the axe for her, and that's one of the when you first meet Sindri, he's like, "That axe doesn't belong to you," and he's
Yeah,
like, "You need to give it to me." Puts up his dukes. No, that's a good question too. I would love to know more about the dwarves but Sindri, man,
and what happened to Sindri too? I mean, I know there's little extra stuff at the game. I think there's a funeral I have to go to, but I don't know what's
yeah,
going
you'll
on with
see.
Sindri.
You'll see. But I mean, you still have the same kind of questions, and I wonder. It's almost like he's being set up as like an antagonist in an Atreus game. You know what I mean?
Think they would do DLC story for this game?
I don't know, no, but you know what I mean. Like the way that the character is kind of
Sure.
he's soured on Atreus. I don't think that they'll do DLC. I hope not. I mean, I feel like this game has got plenty to do in it. Um, that being said, I wouldn't
I mean, just like
think.
a, it's just more with Atreus doing things. Like that's what I was thinking because he didn't really
I
give him
mean,
any,
if they do it an Atreus spin-off game, not like DLC, but actually like a game,
like a Miles Morales type thing where it's like not as big of a game, but maybe like a side thing,
maybe, maybe,
right? Right.
maybe. Yeah, I could see that working. I could see that working, and maybe you could resolve the Sindri storyline a little bit.
Give him Ingrid too. Like I wish he had Ingrid. Ingrid's a companion. You had
Oh,
Ingrid for a little.
oh yes, the sword. Yes, that sword worked really well too.
I know.
There was a couple times I think it was in the bar fight when I get it back, and it's just like, damn. I'm like, I'm not doing anything. Like this is great. Like every time something bad would happen, the sword would appear and just start
Yeah,
spinning and
Ingrid was
shooting
great. I
things
love
at me.
the. Have you heard this? Did you hear this? You heard the story of Ingrid and how he gets Ingrid, right? Freyr and Ingrid.
Yes. Oh,
Yeah,
yes, yes, yes.
love of his life.
Oh,
Anyways,
yes. Yeah. Anyways, I'll leave that off. I don't wanna spoil every single thing in this episode.
but no, it's good. I'm glad we got to talk about it because I know it's been on
Me
our
too, Justin.
minds. I'm excited. I'm going for the platinum. That's the goal here.
Okay,
I'm gonna do
alright.
it. I may as well. I mean, I'm just like I love the gameplay of this of Ragnarok so much. It's just so
Yeah, I
fun.
just wanna keep playing it. Like, that's all I wanna do is just play this game. It's so fun. They really did improve upon every aspect of the gameplay. I don't feel like anything is really a drawback. Like, from everything from realm travel to how you just traverse around the locations, like whipping around with your hook shot blades of chaos.
Hmm.
Good. It's good. All right. If you, for those of you who are listening who've never been, you should definitely check out our YouTube channel, watch some of our videos. Like Justin said, we played through God of War 2018, where we had a lot of fun and difficult moments trying to get through that as quickly as possible without leveling up as
Yeah.
much.
Yeah,
But
let us know what your favorite moments in God of War is. Go find a place to comment it. Go on our Twitter, comment things there. Go and then obviously, if you want, are just a podcast listener, just rate us somewhere and share it with somebody. And
absolutely.
anyways, this has been Playing Favorites. I'm Justin.
I'm Paul. Have a good one.